Moonlit Tales Asia presents stories from the past where love, fate, and darkness intertwine long before the world became loud with ambition and haste, when forests still whispered secrets to those who listened, and rivers carried stories from mountain to sea. There came into being a child unlike any other in a quiet corner of a humble Vietnamese village. Beneath the vast sky that seemed to stretch endlessly toward the divine, a boy named Thach Sanh was born. His origins were not entirely of this world. It was said that his father had once been a celestial being, an immortal guardian sent from the heavens, who chose to live among humans for reasons known only to the gods. His mother, gentle and kind, was a woman of the earth, whose heart held a quiet strength. But fate, as it often does in tales of destiny, was not merciful. Before the boy could understand the warmth of a family, both of his parents passed away, leaving him alone in a world that neither knew nor cared for his true nature. And so, Thach Sanh grew, not in comfort, not in guidance, but in solitude. At the edge of the village stood an ancient banyan tree, its roots twisted deep into the earth, like the fingers of time itself, and its branches stretched wide, offering shelter to birds, animals, and eventually to a boy with nowhere else to go. This tree became Thach Sanh's home. He slept beneath its shade, listening to the wind rustling through its leaves. He woke with the sunrise, carrying a simple axe, and ventured into the forest to gather firewood day after day. Season after season, he lived a life of quiet endurance. He spoke little, for there was no one to speak to. He desired little, for he had never known abundance yet within him, unseen by the world, grew something rare and unbreakable, a heart that remained kind, even in hardship, a spirit that remained pure, even in loneliness. The villagers knew of him, but they did not truly see him. To them, he was just a poor woodcutter. To fate, he was something far greater. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of amber and gold, Thach Sanh returned from the forest with a bundle of firewood upon his shoulders. It was then that he met Lai Thong Li. Thong was a man of charm and calculation. His words were smooth, his smile convincing, and his eyes always searching for advantage. He observed the young man carefully, the strength in his arms, the simplicity in his expression, the innocence that made him vulnerable. And in that moment, a plan began to form, brother. Lai Thong called out warmly, as if they had known each other for years. You live alone in this harsh world. Why not join me? We can take care of each other. Thach Sanh, who had never known companionship, felt something stir within him. Trust came easily to a heart that had never been taught suspicion. And so, without hesitation, he accepted. From that day forward, he believed he had found family, but what he did not see was that Li Thong had not found a brother. He had found a tool not far from the village. Hidden within a dark and cursed forest, there lived a creature of terror, an ogre. It was said that this monster demanded a human life every year, and in fear, the villagers obeyed, choosing one among them to be sacrificed year after year. No one dared to resist until the turn came, for Lai Thong fear gripped him like ice. He had no intention of facing death. And then he remembered the boy. That night, with false concern in his voice, he spoke to Thach Sanh. There is a special task tonight, he said. I must go guard a temple, but I am feeling unwell. Could you go in my place? Without suspicion, without doubt. Thach Sanh agreed. He took his axe and went. The forest was unusually still that night. Even the insects seemed to hold their breath. Thach Sanh stood alone, the darkness pressing in around him. Yet he did not tremble. He did not flee, for though he had lived a simple life, courage had always been a quiet companion within him. Then it came. A thunderous roar shattered the silence. The ground trembled. From the shadows emerged the ogre. Massive, grotesque, its eyes burning with hunger for a moment. The world seemed to pause. And then the battle began. The ogre lunged. Its claws tearing through the air, Thach Sanh moved swiftly, dodging, striking back with his axe. The clash echoed through the forest. Strength against savagery. Courage against terror. Time seemed to stretch endlessly. But in the end, it was not brute force that won. It was resolve with a final, decisive blow. Thach Sanh struck down the creature. The forest fell silent once more. The terror that had haunted the land for years was gone. Victorious, Thach Sanh returned, carrying the ogre's head as proof, but Lai Thong's heart was not filled with gratitude, it was filled with fear that the truth would reveal his cowardice, fear that he would lose everything. So he lied that creature was sacred, he said urgently. The king will punish anyone who kills it. You must flee at once. Thach Sanh, still trusting, still innocent, believed him. And so the hero of the village walked away unnoticed. Time passed one day. A great calamity struck the kingdom. A giant eagle descended from the sky and kidnapped the princess. Carrying her into the depths of a dark cavern, panic-spread warriors were sent, but none returned fate. Once again, brought Thach Sanh to the moment, seeing the eagle in flight. He raised his bow and released an arrow. The shot struck true. The creature shrieked and fled, leaving behind a trail of blood without hesitation. Thach Sanh followed. The trail led to a cavern, deep, silent, and foreboding. Without waiting, without fear, Thach Sanh descended. The air grew colder. The darkness thicker, yet he pressed on at last. He found the princess, frightened but alive with gentle words. He reassured her, "You are safe now," but just as hope began to rise, betrayal struck again. Thong, who had followed behind, sealed the entrance of the cave, leaving Thach Sanh trapped in the darkness alone once more, but not defeated deep within the cave. Thach Sanh encountered another beast, a monstrous serpent guarding hidden treasures. The battle that followed was fierce, but as before, courage prevailed. When the creature fell, silence returned, and within that silence, Thach Sanh found something unexpected, a magical zither when he played the instrument. Its sound was unlike anything in the world. It was not merely music, it was emotion. It carried sorrow, injustice, truth. The melody rose from the depths of the earth and reached the royal palace there. The princess, who had refused to speak since her rescue, heard it, and suddenly she spoke. She told everything, the truth. At last was revealed. The king, upon hearing the story, was filled with anger and regret. He ordered Thach Sanh to be rescued. When the hero emerged from the darkness, the world finally saw him for who he truly was. Not a poor woodcutter, but a man of courage, honor, and unshakable virtue. Thong's deception was exposed, and justice was delivered. Peace did not last long soon. Enemy armies surrounded the kingdom. War seemed inevitable. But Thach Sanh chose a different path. He took the magical zither and played. The music spread across the battlefield, and something extraordinary happened. The soldiers, once filled with anger, began to feel something. Else calm reflection, humanity one by one. They lowered their weapons. A war that could have taken countless lives ended without a single drop of blood. Thach Sanh was no longer alone. He was honored, respected, and loved. He married the princess, not as a reward, but as a union of two souls who had endured hardship and found truth. But more than that, he became a symbol, a reminder that true strength is not found in power alone, but in kindness, in honesty, and in the courage to do what is right even when no one is watching. And though time moved on and generations passed, his story remained carried by the wind, whispered by the trees, and remembered by all who still believe that goodness, in the end, will always prevail. This story is retold and adapted by Moonlit Tales Asia. Inspired by traditional folklore, please do not copy, re-upload, or redistribute this content in any form without permission.